What's good, YouTube? I go by the name of Q. If you're unfamiliar, if you are familiar, shout out to you. Welcome back to the channel. This video is just gonna be super real. That's it. I just want to have some real talk because I had some stuff on my mind, on my heart, and I felt it flowing. So I kind of just wanted to spill it out. And what I wanted to talk about was exposure. This ties into finance as well because what you're around, that has a lot to do with how you handle money, how you think about money, how you think about wealth, all of these things. How you grew up, that plays a big part too. I mentioned on this channel how, I didn't have much coming up, but I had everything I needed. I rarely went without, and I'm grateful for that. I rarely went without. We had everything we needed, but that was just that. It wasn't too much extra, right? It wasn't too much extra. I started working at a very young age. If I wanted something, I had to go out there and hustle and make it happen. Like, I remember making my own money as young as like 7th grade, 6th grade, 7th grade, something like that. Like, I used to do a bunch of little kid side hustles like raking leaves and shoveling snow and going down to Aldi. This is actually funny. Me and my best friend used to go to Aldi. Now that I look back at it, now that I think back on it, it was low-key panhandling. So we would wait outside of Aldi and we would literally ask people if we can help them with their groceries. Like, we would, try to lean more so into like the older woman category, like the elderly. They got a big cart of groceries. We'll wait outside. Ma'am, can I help you with your groceries? All we ask in return is that quarter that you have to put in the cart. If we can get that quarter to take that cart back when we done, that'll do them a service, because not only do they save themselves a trip, but we help them put their groceries in too. So it's like we weren't looking for more than that. Sometimes we would get tips, which was cool, but that was one of my side hustles in 6th grade, 5th grade, something like that. And then, I started selling candy and chips and stuff in high school, but I always had to make my own money in order to make a way. Now, that stuck with me too. So that's kind of how, like, I'm the hustler I am today. Like, I'm always trying to make money, even when I was broke. Like I said, I would be broke, but I would make money and I would just blow it. That's how I became broke. Like, I was always working. I always held a job. I've been working since I was 15 years old, legally. I got my work permit. I hit the workforce at 15 years old, and I've been working ever since. Like, I'm 32 years old now. I've been working for 17 years, which is nuts. I've only been unemployed for 9 months. So at this point, I'm looking like, man, you know what? I'm on a good path, but how I operate now is how I used to operate in the past, based on necessity, like what I had to do in order to survive as a kid. So your childhood plays a lot into how you operate today. There's a lot of things that I had to unlearn though, and I'm still working on it. I'm not 100% there, but one of the things that I'm unlearning is that money is scarce, right? For some reason in my mind, I'm always thinking like, man, I don't have enough money. I don't have enough money. Whole time I'm low key banned. I'm banned up, man. All my savings accounts are full. I got money in the market. I got money. And this is not the brag. This is not the brag. I got money all over the place now, and I still feel like I got to continue to run it up, right? I got to continue to run it up. So sometimes me being frugal, it kind of plays me a little bit. Like, I'm being frugal for a reason, but it's sometimes that I don't spend money when I know I can, but I just don't do it because I'm just like holding on to it so tight as if it's never gonna come back. Like, money is abundant, money is infinite, and that's something I'm telling myself. I'm unlearning that money is scarce, and I'm learning that money is abundant. I can make as much money as I want. I can have as much money as I desire. And that's just facts. That's just facts. And that's not just true for me. That's true for everybody. When we talk about exposure, I used to work at a place called Ravinia Festival. So it's a concert hall in Highland Park, Illinois. It's in the Chicagoland area, if you're familiar with that. And they do concerts, so all these celebrities come there and they do a show in the summertime. And I was working as a parking attendant there. So Highland Park it's a affluent neighborhood, put it like that. It's an affluent town. Heavily is a heavy Jewish community there. Michael Jordan has a house there. Scottie Pippen has a house there. A couple other celebrities have homes in Highland Park. If you know, you know. But Google it and see what I'm talking about. But I was a parking attendant there, and my dad ran a lot. And for the concerts, those who would come to see the show, I would literally just stand out there with my white polo and my little khaki shorts. So people come to the show, I'm waving them in, I'm showing them where to park. Easy, super easy, sweet summer job. I worked there from the time I was 15 through 22, so 8 summers. And all of my coworkers, I would notice, same age as me, same age as me. Sometimes I would have to catch the train to work, right? Sometimes if my dad worked the same shift, we would carpool there. My dad, my brothers, we would all go to work together. And then when I got my license, I was able to borrow, family cars and come to work. But all of my coworkers had like Lexus, BMWs, Mercedes. They're pulling up and they're like 15, 16, 17. And I'm just looking like, okay, this is interesting. This is interesting. I also noticed that during their breaks, they were either doing homework, they were studying something, or they just got a book and they're reading a book in their spare time. And I'm just watching them like, okay, it was just interesting to me. Like I thought it was interesting, and I just took notes on that. And it didn't influence me to read. I hated reading when I was younger. Like I love to read now. That's all I do is read now. But I started taking notes, and that's just how they grew up. That's just how they grew up. Majority white kids. If I didn't mention that already. Majority white kids. So they were there reading. During their downtime, they would talk about what colleges they were applying for. They were talking about scholarships and all of this stuff. And I'm just like, we weren't discussing none of that in my household. So clearly they got that from their household, their community, their peers. That's a common conversation with them. And those are the conversations that I'm having now. Those are the conversations that I'll be having with my kids in the future. And that's what I mean. Sometimes you don't know what you don't know. And sometimes whatever you're around is all you know until you get around something different. I would have never been exposed to that had I not got that job out there. And I learned a valuable lesson. So I gained some friendships. I still talk to some of those. Well, they're adults now. We're all adults. I still talk to some of my coworkers from there now. And when I say they're literally living large, a lot of them are, most of them are married with kids. They're working these high paying jobs. And their parents did the same exact thing. Their parents were doctors, lawyers, finance, engineers, all of these high paying professions. And then I go back and look. My dad always kept more than one job. He had 3 jobs at one point. And if you've been following me for some time, then you know I always kept 1 or 2 jobs at the same time, or 3 jobs, because that's what I was exposed to. That's what my dad told me growing up. You want to make some money? Go get another job. He never mentioned finding a better paying job that would equal the amount I was getting from 2 jobs, or going to take a trade. Like when he talked about college, he just said go to college. He didn't break down what the point of going to college was. I also didn't take stock in it because it's like you're telling me to go to college, but you didn't go to college. Or you telling me to go to college, but nobody else in my family went to college. So leading by example is important in these scenarios. And I get the whole do as I say, not as I do thing. But honestly, the examples work more than the words. That's what I'm learning. Like you can't just tell somebody to do something, right? You can't just tell somebody to do something. You have to show them, and you have to let them know, okay, it's working. You have to show them, lead by example. And once they see it's working for you, then it'll be more believable. Then it'll be a lot more believable. In terms of my spending habits growing up, I have an older sister. She's got 12 years on me. When I say she was a fashionista, this girl, she was working early too. She also had to pretty much take care of me and my younger sibling. So it was Jordans, it was Air Force Ones, it was whatever was the hottest clothes at the time. Like, she spent a lot of her money on clothes, and she took a lot of pride into being fresh, right? In Chicago, we call it getting jiggy. So she used to be jiggy as hell growing up. Always fresh. Never wore the same clothes like more than once. And it was like, damn, I kind of admired that. I really admired that. So I couldn't afford none of that stuff, of course. So she used to buy me some of those. And once I put on some of those outfits, it changed my life. She bought me my first pair of Jordans when I was a kid. And when I wore those Jordans, when I when I tell you I was walking on clouds, I would come outside happy as hell, grinning from ear to ear. I go to school, everybody looking at my feet. I'm like, yeah, you see him. I know you see me. I know you see me. And ever since I was exposed to that, all of the money I was making from my summer jobs, I would literally blow my entire check. Soon as I get it, I get paid, and if I got out of work early enough, I'll go straight to the mall, spend every penny, spend every penny on clothes and shoes. And it's on a Friday, so on Saturday when it's time to do some extracurricular, I'm looking at my older siblings like, damn, y'all going bowling? You gonna pay for me? You gonna pay for me, or I just gotta sit at home? I'm like, I didn't have to spend my whole check. You know what I'm saying? I should have kept a little bit of that and, rationed it out, but I didn't do that. So I was exposed in that way. I bought my first car by myself at 16. I was one of the only 16-year-olds at the high school with their own car, paid $1,500 cash. I was the man. I felt good by doing that. But that's because that's what I was exposed to. My dad, he would always pay cash for cars, so he bought his car. My sister paid cash. My brother paid. Everybody in the house, they bought their own first cars. So, by leading by example, that's what I saw. That's what I did, which was a good thing. But, at the end of the day, I still do that to this day. I've only financed one vehicle in my life. And that one vehicle I financed was repossessed because I lost my job. And you know what? There's nothing wrong with financing cars or leasing cars or whatever. But still to this day, I would rather save up and pay cash for a car because that's just how I always operated. That's something I'll keep, right? I don't want to unlearn that. That's pretty dope. That's helped me save a lot of money. And exposure, 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 exposure. Those are just a few examples, right? The list is super long, but I didn't want to make this video extremely long. It's already long enough. But pay attention to what you're exposed to, right? Pay attention to your surroundings. Pay attention to what you consume on the internet, because a lot of things you can pick up subconsciously without realizing it, and it just materializes into a habit. And then over time, you realize, like, damn, this wasn't helping me. It was hurting me. Pay attention to the conversations you're having with people. It's times, like I said, outside of the internet where I do kind of feel like a hermit, where I do feel reserved. Like, I'm a reserved individual as is, but I keep to myself a lot because I don't want to be involved in certain conversations. Like, you won't hear me conversing about the trending topics around entertainment or even around sports. Like, I'm a big basketball and football fanatic, but I don't I can't keep up with that stuff anymore because that's me, watching them make their money and live their dreams. And it is entertaining, but you got to keep that stuff to a minimum. And last but not least, I got to give a shout out to the complainers, right? We all know them. Stay away from them. Stay away from them. People who are always complaining, people who always have something negative to say, the pessimistic ones who, oh, this is this, and why is he doing that, and she should be doing this, and oh my God, taxes, Biden, Trump, woo. You know those people. They always complain about something. It could be the smallest thing, and they have something to complain about, and it's just like, bruh, stay away from them. Stay away from that. Stay away from that, because you be around them long enough, you'll turn into a complainer yourself, and that is no way to live life. You have the pessimistic and you have the optimistic. You want to be an optimist. You don't want to be a pessimist, because if you're complaining about something, we already know what the problem is. What are you going to do about it? Okay, I'm done. Like this video if you like it. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't. Also follow me on IG. Q Makes It Happen on Instagram. Go show your boy some love. I go by the name of Q, and like I always say, if Q can make it happen, you can make it happen. I'll let y'all next video.